Hey everybody, welcome back to Problematic Women. Thanksgiving is over and the Christmas holiday season is upon us. I am so excited for this time of year. Truly is my favorite time of year, and Virginia's dressing up for it already.
I'm ready.
We can talk about that later. When is it too early, too late to start celebrating? And because Christmas season's upon us, it's very exciting, but it's also a very stressful time for your wallet. I know it is for mine. And of course, the economy is like top of mind for everybody right now, especially Trump and the administration. And the global conversation seems to be fixated on this ahead of midterms. So thankfully, we have Nicole Hoyer, Senior Research Associate at Heritage, to break this down with us. Black Friday, female shopping trends, and all this and more on today's Problematic Women. Welcome back to Problematic Women. I'm Elise McHugh.
I'm Virginia Allen. And Nicole, it is such a pleasure to have you and to have your economic expertise with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Well, this is fun because it's like, okay, we're having an economist on. We have to talk about this crazy Black Friday season. We've just had Thanksgiving. Everyone sort of like rolls onto their couch now. And I mean, it's bad. It's like, okay, the reality is we just have a day of thanks. And then we all go spend a bunch of money on all the things we think we need. It's a little backwards, and yet here we are stimulating the economy this season. That's every time I make a big purchase, I'm like, it's okay, I'm just stimulating the economy. That's what I tell myself. So we have lots of women who are stimulating the economy this year. I looked it up, and so
That's very generous of you to say.
like we all have to do our part, right?
It's patriotic to
It's
go
patriotic.
spend a buck.
Yeah, and maybe
the
save
economy.
too, guys. Yeah, exactly. Saving is good too. We all have to save. But this time of year, everyone, you're thinking about both deals this weekend. Of course, Black Friday was yesterday. We have it's Small Business Saturday, I guess, is today. Go shop your local small businesses. And then Cyber Monday.
My favorite of the three.
Really? Okay, there you go. And then don't forget about Giving Tuesday. And think about the people that you actually want to be blessing and organizations you might want to partner with. Little plug there. But I was fascinated to read that among consumer habits, Capital One has some great stats, including that 85% of consumer spending is done by women.
Whoa. I'm shocked.
I mean, it's like, it's not actually that shocking. And yet it's like, wow, we shop a lot.
I know. I'm guilty of that too. Where's everyone hitting Cyber Monday? Where'd you hit Black Friday? Like, what are your go-tos?
Okay, so I love a very specific perfume from a brand called By Rosie Jane, and they have been running 30% off. Love their perfume. It doesn't have like the weird like parasite-y stuff in it. So great little plug. Rosie Jane, if you want to sponsor me, you can. And then Elise, we have different problems in this regard, but jeans are always too short for me. And so I can only buy jeans from a brand called American Tall. Again, little plug if you want to sponsor me. And they've been running 40% off sales.
Ooh, that's good. I'm the opposite. I like going to Madewell because all the jeans are too long on me, and my mommy had to teach me how to hem them. So
You know how to hem?
Yes, I do.
That's actually impressive.
I mean,
Well done.
I guess you wouldn't really need that from me, but if anyone out there wants to ship me their pants, I can hem them for you. Or you could just buy from Madewell. It's not sponsored either, but I love Madewell because they have really short jeans. And Sephora has great sales because
Yes.
it's also my birthday month in November, so I can just stack those deals.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
There you go. Nicole, where are you shopping at?
I think same with Sephora. That's always good for makeup.
Yeah.
They're going to have great deals. But one that I've been getting into recently is White House Black Market for work clothes.
okay.
It's so nice. I just went shopping there actually a little while ago. Spent so much money, contributed a lot to the economy, and to be there, of course.
Yes.
But I really love their stuff there, so please sponsor me.
Yes.
They have really classy stuff.
They do,
I
yeah.
always feel like I stand up a little straighter when I walk in there. I'm like, oh, yes, you can help me. Not really. But
Yeah.
Okay, so that 85% of spending that us ladies do, that is responsible for $17.4 trillion of consumer spending. A few more great little tidbits that I just found really interesting from Capital One. So 80% of grocery shopping is done by women. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually like grocery shopping. But okay, this was interesting. Single home buyers are more than twice as likely to be women instead of men today.
Interesting.
That was interesting.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we could really get into that. I don't know if I should say my true thoughts on that.
You could.
I think it's indicative of something we talk about on the show, that we have more women going to college these days, high-performing ladies, and I think that's unfortunate. I think it's been out of the feminist movement. Men have been pushed down, as there's been like this raising of women. That's horrible. We can raise both boats at the same time, but like that's a pretty tangible result that we're seeing.
Wow.
More female homeowners, but fascinated by that. Women make up 70% of travel consumers.
Interesting.
We're traveling a lot. Apparently, we're going on our girls' trips. So
love that.
And then the average millennial male. Okay, this one was really fascinating to me, so I had to include it. The average millennial male spends 59.9% more money on clothes and shoes than his female counterpart.
That's interesting.
Millennial men, you guys are dressed well. Good job.
What do you think it is about that?
I will say, among a lot of my millennial male friends, they're real sneakerheads. I don't know if that's a thing with Gen Z too, but sneakers are expensive, and there's like a cult following around sneakers.
Yeah. Just like the very niche things.
Very, very
okay.
niche.
I can see that. I had no idea about any of this. I'm really curious about the Gen Z spending habits.
Absolutely.
The Gen Z
Sorry,
men.
Elise, I didn't have as much
No,
information
you're
on your generation.
If I had to guess, the Gen Z men I'm seeing around DC, they're pretty nicely dressed, but doesn't look like they're spending more than the women. So
No.
I think the millennial men in that aspect, that's interesting that they spend more than their female counterparts. Because in general, I mean, I would assume, right, in America, women typically spend more money, and that's like for things like clothes or shopping or, I mean, you mentioned groceries as well, where they're the main, I guess, person shopping for the household, for the family. So I guess maybe the statistic isn't entirely surprising. I mean, when we love going shopping, I'm actively contributing to that statistic by going shopping every weekend. And maybe you don't see men doing that as much because I guess in general, girls find, going shopping, going out to a restaurant with friends on the weekend, that's how we kind of decompress. You don't really see as many men doing that as much.
that's true. That is very true.
They might hit the gym. I mean, not that women don't, but I feel like it's more inclined to be active, which is good. We need that. We need guys being active. We'll spend the money.
Everything just costs money these
Everything
days.
costs
Like
money.
everything.
Well, and speaking of everything costing money, so the overall, this I found interesting because we're talking about the economy, where we stand since the election. As we've talked about, there is this huge push towards affordability, and a lot of political pundits, election analysts are saying that Republicans did so poorly in the last election because they didn't put the focus on affordability. And so now, since then, we're kind of seeing this huge push towards let's talk about the economy, let's talk about getting prices down. And this is indicative, too, of what we see in polling. So a new Fox News poll reports that 76% of Americans do not have a favorable view of the U.S. economy. That's down from even up from even the end of the Biden administration when just 70% of the Americans said that. So it's like, all right, this is interesting. And at the same time, when it comes to personal spending habits, we're seeing that Americans are planning on spending more over this like long Black Friday weekend than they did last year, an average of $13 more. So not like drastic, but still. So it's like there's a disconnect. Americans overall are like, the economy's not doing well, but my finances are fine.
Yeah. Is this like a phenomenon that's common, or is this a very special situation?
I think it's a special situation. I mean, it seems like those two should line up, right? If people are thinking that the economy, or that there's this affordability crisis, then maybe they wouldn't want to be spending. So it is interesting then. Where it is true. I mean, the cost of things are high. Groceries are up. Rent is through the roof. No pun intended. But they're still willing to, like on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all the things for the for Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up and everything. They're still willing to spend money. So much so that it's exceeding 2024 numbers. Yeah. So that definitely is. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it almost makes me wonder if they're not super confident in the way that the economy is right now, but they're more confident in Trump's ability and his administration's ability to kind of salvage things, and maybe they're thinking of it a little bit more nuanced, or maybe they're just seeing everyone complain about the economy and they're like, yeah, I guess the economy's bad.
Which that was my thought. It was like, is it just messaging? Is it that media, everyone is talking a lot about how rough the economy is. And so people internalize that and they're like, oh yeah, the economy must be terrible. Everyone's talking about it's terrible. But yet it doesn't seem to be hitting my wallet. So I'm going to go spend that money on that new dress or whatever at Black Friday.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Where it definitely is a little bit of signaling and kind of media messaging in this sense. I mean, from the left-wing kind of media outlets, obviously highlighting affordability and prices and the cost of things where, I mean, under Biden, prices were extraordinarily high, and that was kind of due to the inflationary policies, right, that he implemented during his 4 years. But since Trump's been in office, I mean, there have been certain policies of trying to bring affordability back to Americans and things like that. But I think it is, to your point, a lot of messaging where it's in the media. So even though maybe it's not hurting my wallet at the moment, since it's in the media so much, it's just becoming this like huge problem.
It is a big problem. Well, for the record, millennials are expected to spend more than any other generation on Black Friday. Over Black Friday. I don't know if it's a good job, at least.
Does your back hurt from carrying the economy?
Or we're just, we're out here just really doing our part.
Real patriots.
Such patriots as we go into further debt over here. Guys, we need to slow down. But this is an area where we're watching the president really engage on, including about, is a week and a half ago-ish now, that the president had a very special guest at the White House. He had the Saudi crown prince, and this drew like all the big names in the world of tech policy and billionaires. Yeah, like Saudi Arabia, you got money, and Americans who have money, they all showed up to hang out with each other.
It was like seeing your two friends that broke up in high school come back together and sit next to each other, or like those two celebrities that just were the ones that got away and they sit next to each other at an awards show. That's what it felt like seeing Trump and Elon back together. And I'm really curious what you guys have to say about this. Was this just because, Elon is a tech tycoon, is he the richest man on earth?
He fluctuates. He usually is, but I think
usually there's the richest.
There's a couple people that hold that spot, but most of the time he's in that number one spot.
Okay, so whatever, Elon. So one of the richest people on earth, obviously, U.S. Saudi Investment Forum is attracting all these really big names. Was this just two ships passing each other, or do we think this is the start of their Elon Trump PR tour again?
Together.
That's a great question. I mean, it could be, like you mentioned, kind of the optics, or it's just this big event that's a lot of these people from the financial world and tech and AI all coming together, or it could be something like you said, two people coming back together, right, where Trump might seek to kind of leverage the relationship that he has with Elon to kind of promote some certain policies, or maybe get back together with him and what he's done with Doge in the past, which has been very important, right, in highlighting the government waste and the bureaucracy and the fraud. So it's definitely possible that there might be something brewing with Trump and Elon politically as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any perspective from your personal work here at Heritage doing economics and all that kind of research? Was Doge actually that effective?
I think that it was successful in highlighting the government inefficiency of all of these programs, all of government spending. I mean, if you look through the things that the Doge program, highlighted and that they were seeking to cut, I mean, certain things like, what even was it? Like transgender surgeries in Africa, or like all of these random programs that were just so clearly examples of waste and fraud within American politics. So I think he was successful in highlighting those, and that really allowed the public to look in on, what is the government spending my taxpayer dollars on here? What are we spending on? And hopefully, right, cutting those programs and bringing more efficiency back to the government, in a sense.
That's very true. Well, we have a picture of it. Elon certainly looked pretty happy when he was at the White House. He had a big smile on his face. He was standing next to a bunch of various other leaders and great financial and tech minds. My hope is that this is the rekindling of a great relationship. And I almost feel like, I don't know, I'm curious to get your thoughts. I almost feel like it would be more effective if Elon was back without the public knowing. Like if he could just sort of operate behind the scenes and be in Trump's ear, instead of it being this like big flashy thing.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But then it also makes you wonder with like the internal drama of the White House and whoever is advising him on these matters, and if they like Elon, if they don't get along, there's probably going to be a lot of drama if that happens.
There's a lot of voices in
and
the
I would
room.
love to know what's
Yeah.
going on if that actually is a thing. But yeah, I think it would be really great if Elon could help him out ahead of the midterms, because obviously we all know this, but if you don't, I'm going to say it again. Economic success is what determines who wins in midterms and how things
in
go.
any election.
Any election.
Always. At the end of the day, it's our pocketbooks.
And we have a great daily podcast from Victor Davis Hanson here on the Daily Signal. And one of his most recent episodes, he talked about how it's been really great seeing all of Donald Trump's successes abroad, overseas, and even some domestic wins, but it's the economy and the immigration, but especially the economy, that he needs to start honing in on, or else it won't really matter. All these wars, these 8-9 wars now that he said he's ended.
It's true.
Unfortunately, it sounds harsh to say, but that's exactly what it is.
Well, because like people are people, and at the end of the day, it's like, but wait, how does it affect me? How? And you have to feel it in order to feel like there's actually a real difference being made. So I think maybe Nicole would be helpful to that point. Misconceptions around Trump's economy, because like we just talked about, there's a little bit of this disconnect where it seems like Americans are saying, I'm doing well, but the economy's not. What are, in your work, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions?
I think, too, you were right in obviously highlighting that the economy is going to be a very important issue going into the 2026 midterm elections. I mean, we had some of the 2025 ones that maybe didn't play out the way that we wanted to, but I mean, at the end of the day, the Democratic candidates were voted in blue cities, blue states, so not entirely surprising, but of course a little bit disappointing. So when we look to 2026, the economy is obviously going to be a huge thing, and it's understandable that Americans are kind of upset with, I guess, the economy right now with maybe inflation in the jobs market and prices are up. But I think Trump is working to bring affordability back to consumers in some different avenues, whether that's things like cutting unnecessary government spending, or doing things like tax cuts or deregulation in sectors like energy or oil, so bringing down prices and those things, rolling back tariffs on groceries to bring back, or rolling back tariffs on agricultural goods to hopefully bring back food affordability to consumers. So all of these certain things are policies that he's wanting to implement to bring back affordability to the American people, because that's certainly going to be the deciding factor in 2026.
Yeah, a lot of, I think, the policies that we have seen the president implement around the economy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is a lot of it has been kind of in the interest of the long game of the U.S. economy, not just for the next couple of years, but 100 years. And, the president has talked so much about bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. and bringing those industries that we've outsourced to China or India, having those come back to the shores of the U.S. And that doesn't happen overnight. That is a long process. But when we think about long-term economic health, it's like, well, that's necessary. That's a part of the equation.
Yeah.
We're such an instant gratification culture right now, though. I understand the long game, and I think it's really cool, but also I'd be lying if I said, well, okay, well, what about now?
Yeah. Totally.
What am I feeling right now? And I know that
Yeah.
Trump announced that he wants to do a program where he gives $2,000 to low to middle income people as like a payback from, what was that from?
I think the tariff revenues.
the tariff revenues.
and
So,
kind of
yeah.
stimulus.
Is that actually good for the economy, or is that just like a little candy to give to the Americans?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, in my perspective, and I think from the econ team, that obviously is a politically attractive thing, giving $2,000 in stimulus to the American people, right? That they can use that to save or to spend. But I think that's very politically attractive, but I think it is possible it would maybe be in the overall economic interest to do something like pay back the debt, or to maybe invest in some other sectors. Because like you mentioned, bringing back manufacturing to the U.S., or just doing the supply side, the pro-growth policies that are going to make America's economy boom, are going to be the most important policies to implement.
Absolutely. I know J.D. Vance said this week in an interview where he was just asking the average American consumer just to like be patient. And people are grilling him for that. But I mean, he's right. Just be patient. Let it all set in.
Yeah.
Trust the process. Don't be a panickin, as Trump would say.
I know he hasn't even been in office for a year. I mean, he's coming up on a year. So all of these things that he's wanting to do are, of course, the long-term strategies. Of course, the short term is important. But all of these, he's playing the long game. And I think, right, things take time. I mean, bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. isn't something that happens overnight. I mean, growing the economy isn't something that you can just do on a whim at the snap of your fingers. I mean, it takes time. So we're going to see him play the long game, and we're going to see that in his economic policy, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, someone who is not playing the long game is Zohran Mamdani, who has promised all of the fun, flashy things to the people of New York. Largely, you can argue those promises are exactly make a very strong argument, as we have on this show, that those promises are the very things that got him elected, whether it be free buses or rent freezes, or I don't know if anyone really wants government-run grocery stores, but he's promised that too. So you can talk about just a totally different approach to the economy. I know, Nicole, this is something that you have been in the weeds of.
Yes, definitely. Mamdani's policies are definitely not the answer to New York City's affordability crisis. They're definitely going to exacerbate costs for residents if they're implemented. Like you mentioned, I mean, free buses, government-owned grocery stores, rent control, a $30 minimum wage, effectively doubling the minimum wage right now. All of these things are really going to lead to increased prices for consumers, but also population exodus, and businesses are going to leave the city. Another one of his policies are increasing corporate and income taxes, so on individuals, on corporations, and that's very harmful, obviously, to businesses, for residents, and we're just going to see the long-term economic impacts if he's actually able to implement these policies that he wants to.
It's a little frightening.
I know. I think my favorite has to be the city-run grocery stores, because I'm like, how are you going to pull that off? Who's going to go to it? And after its opening day, what are the shelves going to look like?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think one might have already opened.
Oh, I actually don't know. Did one? That can't be. He's not even there yet.
Well, I thought I heard someone say that there were people like lined up around the corner to go to a government-run grocery store. So
What's going on in New York
maybe
City?
I fell for AI again. We all know I do that.
There's so many AI reels right now. But no, I mean, I think when you think about like the longevity and can Zohran Mamdani actually implement these policies? I was doing a little research on this, and Nicole, I'd be curious to get your take. But as far as funding all these things like the free buses and the government-run grocery stores, that requires money to fund it. And his plan to fund it is to raise taxes on corporations, on the more wealthy in New York City. Well, in order to do that, that requires state approval. He can't just snap his fingers and raise taxes. It's like, I don't know that he's going to be able to get state lawmakers in New York on board.
Yeah.
Especially if our girl Elise Stefanik is successful in her gubernatorial run, and she can just shut that down. I mean, even the current governor, Kathy Hochul, is like, this actually isn't possible, and she's a Democrat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think as we're noting, Zohran Mamdani, I mean, he's self-declared Democrat socialist. I mean,
communist.
He's just a socialist communist.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think for most of the Democrat Party, they're like, this isn't actually us. This doesn't really represent us. It represents what their party has become, but it's not classic liberal values, which is wild. But Nicole, I would be curious to get your take. Is there anything when you look at Zohran Mamdani's platform that you're like, okay, he actually could pretty rapidly likely implement this?
Yeah, I think you definitely brought up a good point where a lot of these things that he's promised, all of these free social services basically, aren't actually politically feasible.
Yeah.
And Governor Kathy Hochul mentioned a couple of days after Mamdani was elected that, for example, his free bus, the transportation program that he wants to offer, free buses, that's not politically feasible because the state and the city relies too much on the revenues generated from the bus fares to fund other social programs. So you can't just make all of the buses free, all transportation free, because that's going to be a huge hit for essentially the municipal government purse. But some of his other ideas, I mean, like the raising of taxes, do have to be approved by Albany. But some, like the government grocery stores, are potentially politically feasible if he can generate the funding for them, of course. I mean, the government stores are going to be extraordinarily burdensome to the taxpayer because obviously the government's not using its own money, of course. Yep. It's using taxpayer money. But I mean, for socialism in general and all of these policies, I think like they don't only fail in economic theory, but they fail in practice, in history. I mean, we've seen this play out with some government grocery stores in the U.S., but also the more extreme examples of socialism abroad. So like Venezuela or the Soviet Union, we've seen in action what these policies do. And it's not pretty. It destroys the economy. It completely destroys, honestly, the social environment for people. And right, people have to be the center of policy. We don't want to do things that are making their lives worse, that are increasing costs, that make the standard of living worse. We want to be promoting policies that make people like reliant on themselves, not reliant on the government. So I think that's the big difference between these big government policies that we see coming out of people like Mamdani versus the more conservative approach that wants to give autonomy to the people and the freedom to choose, essentially, and make decisions for themselves.
Absolutely. You mentioned that there will be a mass exodus of people from New York City, and it's not going to be the socialists, the NYU students that voted for him. It's going to be the people on Wall Street and the financial district. What would that look like for, not only for New York's economy, but just for the global economy if the financial capital just leaves?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's going to be absolutely devastating for New York City if you have all of these people, right, from Wall Street, businesses that are just going to be leaving and going elsewhere. I mean, in the last decade, I think we've already seen 2 million New York City residents flee the city, and it's because regulations are so tight, taxes are so high. So now implementing these sorts of policies, you're definitely going to see a population exodus and wealth flight. They're going to go to lower tax, lower cost jurisdictions or red states like Texas or Florida. So they're going to be seeing a lot of migration to those states, which will be great for their economies. But for New York City, they're essentially eliminating their tax base. They won't be able to pay for the very social services that Mamdani's campaigned on. So what's that going to look like? The conditions are going to get worse in New York City, and he's probably going to raise taxes on the remaining residents, and that's going to be extremely burdensome to them.
So what I'm hearing is I either need to switch careers and become a real estate agent in Florida or drive a moving truck in New York City.
The latter sounds a lot more stressful. I don't know if you could pay me to drive a moving truck in New York
Looks like fun.
It sounds so stressful. But you're right. That's, I think, exactly what we're going to see. And I'm thinking, we've all just watched the Macy's Day Parade in New York City on Thanksgiving. And I'm like, by this time next year, what is that city going to look like? Yeah. What will have changed? And I think in some ways, interestingly, what won't, like either way, whether mass changes or, Zohran Mamdani could become very unpopular because, the people that elected him to make all these changes might be saying, you haven't actually made the changes. And he'll be saying, yeah, because, I keep getting blocked. Yeah. It's like, well, that's how government works. You don't just get to come in and turn everything upside down. So
we'll see how that works out for him. I know that he, on day one after he got elected, not even day one, like hour one during his celebration party, he had a cash bar, and now he's asking for donations. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you're paying for it now, and he's not even in yet. So good luck, New York.
Socialism actually isn't free. He's asking for donations now. Yeah,
interesting how that works. Wonder if we could have heeded this warning before. Oh wait,
exactly.
Wait,
society has multiple times, but he didn't learn. Okay, well, we're going to talk about Christmas here in a second, but that's related to question of the week. But real fast, quick review. Last week, we asked you, is culture shifting to embrace traditional values, or is it just a fad? We essentially had one person that said no, that it's not necessarily shifting. And then another person that said, yeah, it essentially is shifting. So we had sort of a 50-50. Some people saying shifting, some people say it's not shifting. I like to stay optimistic and say that we are seeing a permanent shift. It's not just a fad, but as we talk about this embrace of the family, it's permanent.
I personally think it's shifting for men. I think young women, especially Gen Z women, it's not shifting for us. And I think the right needs to figure out how to reach out to young women better instead of just telling us, like, you will be happy if you settle down and have kids. Because, like, yes, that is true, but it's like, that's not going to convince a bunch of 20-year-olds who just got a degree.
Well, then is that almost then just like history repeating itself? That, like, we always see the youngest generation, like, I'm going to rebel against what's popular at the time.
I don't know. I just feel like our society is structured to be very feminine, very effeminate. That's why it was so easy to win over the men, because it really just goes against their natural instincts. But society right now is giving young women all that they could want. And you don't have to do the boring thing of go to church every Sunday. You don't have to be tied down by marriage.
To church every Sunday.
No, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have everything you want at the tip of your fingers. Why would you try to do something that's a little bit harder when you have everything you need right now? So that's my 2 cents. I don't know how the right is going to win on that messaging war with young women, but I think it is possible because we are so happy compared to leftist women.
Yes.
And we're all still women for the most part.
For the record.
So,
for the record.
Yeah.
But we are just days away from the beginning of December. Thanksgiving is behind us, so some would argue the Christmas season has begun. My Christmas decorations are not up, but someone else at this table might already have them up.
You're robbing yourself of some joy. Okay, so my birthday's in early November, so I think once my birthday is over, that's when I can start putting up my tree, putting up the decorations, popping on that Justin Bieber Christmas album, Mistletoe, if you know, you know. It is so good, and I used to be a little cautious about this, but you know, we're celebrating the birth of Christ, but also it's a very, very commercialized season, and I think it's okay to indulge in that as long as you stay true to the message of it. And it's just so much fun. Like, why would I deny myself that joy if I really want to? I honestly listen to Christmas music in July sometimes if I really think about it too hard. So that's my 2 cents.
Nicole, please tell me your Christmas decorations are not up yet.
They're not up yet, but I think they will be once December 1st hits.
That's fair. I think that's normal.
I also keep up my Christmas decorations until February.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. You can go long because winter is sad.
Yeah,
and it's dark.
There's not another holiday really.
That's so
like,
true.
You have the Christmas decorations up. You can listen to the Christmas music for as long as you want.
It makes you happy.
I just feel like right after Christmas, like December 26th, all the stuff comes down. Delilah stops playing Christmas music on 97.1.
Wow, I have not heard someone drop Delilah in a minute. Is she still on?
I think she is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's great.
That is wild.
But I feel like everything stops right after Christmas, so I really want to stretch out that holiday. And if people are starting to put up the decorations, if I can walk through Costco and see a tree, then I'm like, okay, it's starting a little bit for me.
I just need to give Thanksgiving its full run, and especially at least in this area, we still have leaves that are beautiful and turning.
That's true.
Although Union Station already has their Christmas wreaths up, so they're locked in. They're
Very
ready
fun.
to go.
Yeah, so December 1st is when you're putting yours up.
Yes.
Do you have a tree in your house and everything?
It's not up yet, of course, but I'm in an apartment right now. I don't know if we're gonna get a tree, but when I go,
a tree.
I should. But I know when I go back home to Rhode Island for Christmas to spend with my family, we always have a tree, and we always put all the ornaments on the tree together and set up all the decorations. So it's always
that is
experience.
so sweet.
Okay, a controversial question: live or fake tree?
Live tree.
Yes. Thank you, Nicole. Elise, what do you have?
Okay, I love a live tree. However, I do live in an apartment.
I live in an apartment too.
I know, but it's like, I mean, you've seen it. It's kind of
Your
small.
apartment is very small.
And if you go to Walmart, you can get a tree that you like stick together, plug it in, and the lights already come on it. And it's just, it's convenient.
It's convenient.
It
You
does
also don't
look-
have to clean up the pine needles.
Yeah, exactly. I'll light a candle that smells like pine, disrupt my endocrine system with that a little bit. It's fine. Just for a few days. For 2 months. Let's be honest. So, I guess question of the week. How early is too early to start decorating for Christmas? And when did you start, if you have?
We need to hear from you. We need to hear some tiebreakers on my side. Well, y'all, happy Thanksgiving. Can we? I don't know that we can say Merry Christmas yet. Can we say Merry
You know,
Christmas?
when Kamala Harris said, "How dare you say Merry Christmas?" You can say it.
Okay, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us today. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so
Always a
much for
pleasure.
having me on.
Absolutely. And make sure, where can people follow you and all of your work at Heritage?
Yeah. So my X account is just at Nicole Hoyer, and then just keeping up to date with the heritage work that we're putting out, like op-eds or papers or events.
Amazing. Appreciate it. Well, we will see you all right back here next week for our first episode in December.
Yay.
Enjoy your Cyber Monday shopping.